One of the key capabilities of the Autodesk Factory Design Suite is the Asset Builder, which allows you to create your own custom assets to be used in factory layouts. You can create these assets with intelligent parameters and connection points so that you can easily leverage them in your factory layout environment. This video tutorial will demonstrate the process of authoring your own custom user assets. New assets are easy to create within the Autodesk Factory Design Suite. The Create Asset command on the Factory tab allows you to build a new inventor part or assembly model to use as an asset. As an alternative, you can also select the Import Asset command to use an existing part or assembly model to build the asset. You can also easily import data from a different CAD format, including 3D AutoCAD DWG data. I'm going to create my asset using an imported part crate file. Using the Model tab, I can continue designing the model, or if the model is complete, I can begin authoring it using the Asset Builder. To access this tool, I'll click the Asset Builder on the Factory tab. Parameters play an important role in an asset. By selecting the Parameters option, I can use the Standard Parameters dialog box to make changes. The important step when building a parameterized asset is that in order for the parameter to be authored, it must have been renamed from its system assigned name, or have been created as a new parameter. In addition, it must be marked as key. By setting a parameter as key, it enables users to adjust the value once the asset is placed on the factory floor. After I make the necessary changes, I'll click Done to exit the Parameters dialog. The Key Parameters browser lists all allowable parameters for authoring and enables me to control whether they are marked as key or not without having to access the Parameters dialog box. During authoring, you must add special features for use when positioning and connecting the published asset in the factory layout. This requires that you define a landing surface and any desirable connecting points. To set a landing surface, I use the Landing Surface command. Using this dialog, I can select a planar face or work plane as my landing surface. Once selected, a triad appears on the selected plane, representing the default insertion point. To change the vector direction of an axis, you select the desired axis on the triad and then select a reference edge to define the new direction. Use the Insertion Point option to modify the default insertion point or add additional insertion points if necessary. You can also flip the direction of the landing surface plane or add an offset value. When you're finished defining the landing surface and insertion points, click OK. Connector points help position assets relative to one another in a factory layout. To create connector points, I use the Define Connector command and select a plane on the model to use as the contact plane. A triad appears, allowing you to modify the alignment edge, the contact point, or the contact plane direction. The blue Z-axis identifies the upward direction. To adjust it, simply select the blue axis and then an edge to align the axis. To finish adding a connector, right-click and select OK. The connector appears as a green dot and a node is added to the Asset Builder browser. You can continue to add multiple connectors as necessary. Once the landing surface and all desired connector points have been created, we can publish the asset. Using the Publish Asset dialog box, I can define a folder location for the asset. I can also modify any of the eye properties that were automatically brought in. For this model, I'm going to maintain all the defaults and click OK to publish the model as a user asset. To exit the Asset Builder environment, I click Finish Asset Builder to return to the modeling environment. To verify that the asset has been published, I'll switch back to the factory layout file. In this file, I simply select the Refresh Asset button in the Asset browser and navigate into the User Asset folder. I can also enter the name of the asset in the search window and go directly to it. If I right-click on any asset, I can activate a preview window to review the design. As I place the asset, I can click the Tab key and switch between the multiple insertion points. After the asset is placed, I can modify the key parameters in the Factory Properties browser. When I place a second instance of the asset, I can snap to the first, utilizing the defined connectors. As you can see, the user asset has been added and is available for use in the factory layout. The size and versatility of your custom asset library is completely up to you. Simple models can be imported to represent static assets, and complex parametric models can be created to support assets that change size each time they are placed on the factory floor. Autodesk Factory Design Suite delivers powerful capabilities for creating smart parametric factory assets.